This is the Flutter course curriculum. Here we will cover all the concepts from basic to advanced level. We will also cover on real-time industry relevant projects and use cases with the best practices. Now in this Flutter course demo session, we will be creating a new project and understand the file structure. Then next we will see what are widgets in Flutter and we will explore the basic Flutter widgets. Then next we will work with the assets files. Now let's start the session on Flutter.
Now the time has come that we create our very first Flutter project. Now to make sure Flutter is being installed properly, we can just use a command like Flutter version. First open your command prompt and then just write this command and press enter. If you can see any version, then hooray, you have installed it correctly. And if there is any newer versions as well, then also you can see it like a new version of Flutter is available. But right now we will be working with Flutter 2.2.0. If needed later on the videos, we will upgrade it, but not now. So Flutter is properly installed in your system. Now to create a Flutter project, there are two methods or two ways. First is using Android Studio. If you use Android Studio a lot, then you can just go and open Android Studio and install the required extensions for Flutter, because there will be one extension tool in Android Studio as well. You simply have to download or install the Flutter tools. But I don't prefer Android Studio because first of all it uses a lot of your PC resources. It makes it slower, I guess, because I am a more of a VS Code user or text reader. I prefer US Code. So that's why we will be using VS Code. Make sure you install it in your system. It's very easy. You can just Google it down. Now to create a Flutter project, first go to the folder where you want your first project. Then just open a command prompt there and simply write Flutter create. This is the code, or you can say way to create a new project. And after the create, whatever name you give will be your project name. That is your app name. You can say, obviously you can change this later on, it's not an issue. We will just simply Flutter tutorial. Okay, click enter. So it will just download and create your Flutter project. If you are seeing all done, that's it, you have done it correctly. Inside the Flutter project, you might see a lot of files which we will discuss now only. But before that, you just open your VS Code, go to File, and just open. And here, you simply have to open your Flutter project like this. There will be one welcome, just leave it. So here you can see all the folders and files that were present. You have successfully used VS Code. Now, what we will do, we will see more about this folder structure. There are different folders, that is Android, iOS, lib, test, pubspec.yaml, then web. There are a lot of folders and other files. We just have to remember that the Android folder is where Android related files are stored. We don't change it a lot. We will just use it for some things like what will be the icon of your application Android device, what will be the name of the application, or very few things specific to Android or plugins, but not the whole course. Same with the iOS folder. iOS folder is have all the files which will be used to build an iOS application. But We will just do the changes, small changes which are required, not the core code. Now the lib. This lib folder is the main thing. This is the folder which we will use it again and again. This is where we will be working on most of the time. By default, it contains main.dart. This is the entry point of the Flutter application. As I told, we have already seen in the Dart section that the main.dart or the main function is the entry point. If you go and click on main.dart, you will see this main function here same. And definitely there will be other codes as well, and you might get overwhelmed at present, so don't look at those code. Just remember this main function. After that, there is test is where you put the unit testing code for the application. When you are ready, when your application is ready for production, you have to test it a lot of time. Testing is a whole different topic which we won't be covering, because before going to test, you must have a very clean structured Flutter application. And the next and very important file is pubspec.yaml file. This file defines the version and build number of your app. You will just see this version and all. This will be used when you are publishing your application to any Play Store or iOS store. First uses is this, and then these dependencies. And you might be asking, what are dependencies? We will see and understand it in the next video as well, because dependencies means your application will definitely depend on third party software or library or plugins. This is also very important file, and it should have a separate video to discuss. But just remember, I have skipped other folders and files because most of the time we won't really need to touch them. We only have to work on lib, pubspec.yaml, and little bit on within the Android and iOS folder. So now you have your Flutter application up. It's time to run it in a device. For device, just open Android Studio, because you should have an emulator. And if you don't have your emulator, you can use your physical Android device as well. You just have to make sure you have debugging mode on in your Android device settings. Here, just click on configure AVD manager. Here I have a device. You can also create your virtual device as well. It's very easy. But I have this Pixel 3a API 28. I will just run it. It may take a little bit time. See, your emulator is here. It's a Android device. Now simply what you have to do is in your VS Code, go to main.dart, and in the run, just click on start debugging. And now you have to wait a while, because for the very first time, it will take some time. But you can see it's launching your main.dart on that emulator in debug mode. So this is good. This is working. I just want to say that Flutter is a very awesome tool. It's like it's very easy to understand and easy to work in. And that also you have understood that all the basic concepts in any programming language are the same as in the Dart language. Just remember, when you are using Android Studio, your system might be laggy, or it may hang because it uses a lot of your RAM. So you might not use or do any other thing while you are working on an Android emulator, because it itself is making your system work very hard. and you don't want the application to crash because your computer or your operating system could not handle it. Yeah, it's showing build outputs Flutter APK app debug.apk. So I hope you know that .apk is the extension of an Android device application. Now, okay, see, you will have this screen where it's like Flutter demo homepage, and in the middle there will be like you have pushed the button this many times, and the button is here. If I click on it, see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's increasing. So finally, we have our Flutter application running in our emulator. In the next video, we will be talking more about Flutter concepts such as widgets and other things. For now, I hope you have enjoyed learning it. Today, we will talk about widgets. When we are working in Flutter, you will encounter this word a lot of time because everything within a Flutter application is a widget, from a simple text to buttons to screen layouts. I will just set you an example that if you are coming or if you have any experience from in web development, then you will understand that there are navbar, text field, div, tables in Bootstrap or in HTML. In Flutter, all those things which are the UI elements are called widgets. That's it. So it's not a very difficult concept. I'm not saying that widgets are only the UI thing, but for the basic understanding, you have to remember that if you see anything in the screen, it will be a widget. That's it. Now, every widget will have properties, or you can say arguments, which we have to pass. So if you remember named arguments concept from the earlier Dart program, Dart tutorials we have already done, like in the same way, every widget is also a function, you can say, because in the back of the Flutter core code, it's mentioned like a named argument. I will just give you an example. Here, definitely this code you should not touch. You just see what I'm talking about. This center is a widget. So its property is accepting is one property is called child. Just imagine, yeah, I'm just writing it here. We have a function called center, and here it might be accepting something as named argument. Suppose string name. Here it's same thing is there, but it's a widget property called child. That is why when we are calling this center widget, we in the child property we are sending again a different widget. This is a column. In the upcoming videos, we will deep dive into all the widgets, that is center, column, text, whatever there are widgets, we will understand each and everything. But right now, I just want to give a basic overview because at least you should know what is the meaning of the word widget. Now you can read here that and that property will most of the time accept a widget as its value. As I told, as I have shown you that in the child property, it's accepting a column which is again a widget. And the last thing is every widget start with its name followed by parenthesis. So again I will write, and suppose this is one widget text, then parenthesis, and within itself you have other properties, suppose child, like this, and this child again accept a value. But in the text it's not child, I guess it's different, but I'm just giving you a basic example. Now just see this image. This is an application built using Flutter. So here, if you can see this button of word detail or this image or this arrow, all these are widgets. This text is again a widget. This nav bar is again a widget. Second example, it's a very basic food delivery application, but it's looking so good because it's built with Flutter. So these categories are also a widget called row because it's from left to right, horizontal. Then inside it, this circular thing or whatever, or this search icon is also a widget. Same like this example, this search bar is again a widget. This navigation button is again a widget. This image is again a widget. Widget? There is the image widget. That's it. You will see it in the later video, but I just want to show you that whatever you are seeing right now in the screen, all of them are different widgets. That's it. Don't I if you are overwhelmed, then also it's okay because it's fine. Yeah, you haven't done or worked on anything like this, but it's very simple. Okay, till now, this is enough with the topic of widgets. In today's session, we will be covering a very basic topic of assets. So, you might be asking, what are assets? Just imagine you have an application, and definitely in that application, you will have some images, some different images, your company's logo, or some different font files, or some animations, whatever you say. You have some different files for your application. At that time, you have to make sure you have done the you have told your Flutter project that these are the assets I want to be included in my application. That's it. So for that, what you have to do is go to your Flutter project folder. You will see different folders here. You just have to create a new folder of assets or whatever name you want to give. I usually give it assets because it's convenient for me. Then within the assets, what assets you want. If you have just, if you want, you can also just drop all your files here directly. But I prefer again creating a folder of images. If you want, you can have different folders as well, such as fonts or whatever. So in this way, you have your all the folders structured properly. Now in the images, just go and copy any image you want and just simply paste it. I have this image. If you want to see what I have this basic image. Now what you have to do is you have your folder here properly, but now it's time we implement or we tell our Flutter project that this folder is the assets folder. For that, you have to go to the pubspec.yaml file. Now, just remember this pubspec.yaml file is very sensitive file, because if you have an extra tab or extra space or whatever, your whole application will crash. So just remember and be very careful. So don't touch anything. Just remember here you can see this assets thing which is in the comment. So simply go to A and before A and just start backspacing 2 times. That's it. And again here backspace 2 times, not more than that. Because if you are seeing any error, just remember to undo and try it again. Now this assets code is already there to mention the folder names. Here I will just write it from the start. It's like assets and then images and then like this. That's it. It simply means this assets folder, there within that folder there is an images folder. Just upload it. Top my Flutter debug session. Since you have done a changes, core changes, and simply if you want to include fonts, here this is the font thing where you just have to uncomment it and mention your font file location. Right now we are not dealing with fonts because it's not the most important thing in your application for the beginners. Now more about this pubspec file. Just remember, first important thing is this version, and right now we won't use it. You will only use it when you are publishing your application to any Android or app store, Apple app store. Second is this dependencies folder. Now you might be asking me, what is this dependency? If you have any external package or plugin to implement in your Flutter application, we use this dependencies thing. And when I am telling you external package, that you have a website called pubdev. You can just see is a package manager for Flutter application. Here you will get a lot of packages and everything. See, HTTP parser, path, Google sign in, number picker, like button. So this will help you build your application very fast, and definitely you have to use it. So I will just go and search, suppose HTTP. Then you have this HTTP library. Just simply go, and in the dependencies you just have to copy it like this and paste it below like this and save. But right now we are not doing it because this dependency won't be used at present. I just want to show you what is this assets and pubspec.yaml file, and what are external dependencies which you will be using extensively later on when we are building a intermediate Flutter application. I hope you have understood the concept till now.